Part 9. Shenhao, My Fiancée is a Villain Female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 81. Lu Feng was stunned for a moment. A benefit that Ant Hong couldn't refuse. What are you thinking? In the entire Magic City, he felt that there was nothing that could interest Ant Hong, let alone any benefits. Even Ant Hong's operation of these bars and nightclubs seems to be sustained only because of some special reasons. Brother Chang, please stop talking nonsense. What benefits can you give Ant Hong now? Zhang Cheng didn't lie. Zhang Hongjian really had no way to refuse the benefits he offered. Dream Bar, Midnight Show. It was also a decadent night, where everyone could clearly feel the joy of being reveled in wealth and extravagance. Men and women were on the dance floor, twisting their bodies to the music adjusted by the bar DJ. Crazy and fanatical. Those who come here to spend money are either girls and boys from well-off families who hang out in nightclubs, or working people. Their purpose here is simple, to seek excitement. Even in your circle of friends, those goddesses who often post photos of bars and are very beautiful may be surrounded by handsome guys here. After a night of indulgence, you don't even know how many people rode on her beautiful backside in one night. From her red lips, you don't know what she had eaten at night. When you wake up in the morning, there may be more than just saliva hanging on the corner of your mouth. Lu Feng led Zhang Cheng through the lively crowd in the bar, avoiding the flirtations of sexy little girls one after another. Came outside an exclusive private room. Under the eyes of many bodyguards, he entered the private room. The door of the private room was closed, and Zhang Cheng looked around and saw a middle-aged woman wearing a light cyan-embroidered cheongsam, with a retro Republic of China-style hairstyle, with good skin and a good figure sitting there. Zhang Cheng glanced at her, not bad. However, why do women over 35 years old in the novel have to be written in cheongsam? He didn't understand before, but now he understands. It shows off your figure so much. Lu Feng was the first to say hello to Zhang Hongjian, Ant Hong. Zhang Hongjian nodded slightly and said in a soft voice, "Well, sit down." After sitting down, Zhang Hongjian made a cup of tea for the two of them, and then asked, "What do you want from me?" Zhang Cheng picked up the tea, took a sip first, and said with a smile, "Let's talk to Ant Hong about a deal. I think Mr. Zhang is mistaken. I am just a woman who runs nightclubs and bars. Where can I get the capital to negotiate business with Mr. Zhang?" Zhang Hongjian said disapprovingly. She has been rooted in the Magic City for nearly 10 years, but no serious business people like Zhang Cheng have come to talk to her about business. No, Ant Hong definitely has the capital. At least for me now, Ant Hong is still very useful. Zhang Cheng showed a meaningful smile. Zhang Hongjian said calmly, "Then I wonder what business Mr. Zhang wants to discuss." Zhang Cheng's words made her look down on Zhang Cheng involuntarily. "I just feel that Zhang Cheng is a bit arrogant." Lu Feng was also worried about Zhang Cheng. He said this in front of Ant Hong. Even a billionaire CEO would not dare to say it in front of Ant Hong. Zhang Cheng stared at Zhang Hongjian with a calm expression and said calmly, "Take care of Wang Hu for me." Zhang Hongjian put down the teacup in her hand and said coldly, "Are you done? You can leave." This is not his attitude of talking about business, it is more like ordering himself to do things. "I have dominated the underground forces in the Demon City for so many years, but no one has ever dared to order me in this tone in front of me." Zhang Cheng was the first. If he hadn't been in a good mood today, Zhang Cheng would have been thrown out of the bar at this moment. "Don't you want to hear the benefits I've given you?" Zhang Cheng smiled indifferently. Zhang Hongjian waved her hand, "There is nothing good about the entire Demon City that can make my heart move. Even if you send me the position of top leader, you can leave now." Lu Feng was startled when he saw that Zhang Hongjian's attitude seemed to have become cold. He didn't dare to drink any more tea, so he quickly pulled the corner of Zhang Cheng's tuxedo and whispered, "Brother Cheng, please stop saying a few words." If you make Enthong unhappy, we won't be able to walk out of the bar intact tonight. Lu Feng regretted it. Why did he bring him here so well? Wouldn't it be nice to send him back to Suyao to sleep? Although he was quite satisfied with the results of tonight's cocktail party, compared to making Zhang Hanjian unhappy, these results were not so satisfactory. Zhang Cheng ignored Lu Feng's advice, but leaned forward, raised the corners of his mouth, and said with a smile, "My advantage is the whereabouts of your daughter. Are you sure you don't want this benefit?" Zhang Cheng smiled playfully. Buzz. Zhang Hanjian's brain suddenly shook violently, and the moment Zhang Cheng's voice fell, her whole person became sluggish. However, the next moment, Zhang Cheng's pupils shrank suddenly, and he felt as if a violent beast was staring at him at this moment. "You still want to kill me?" Zhang Cheng recovered instantly, with an indifferent expression, and said coldly. At this moment, Enthong has lost her previous intelligence and charm. Her eyes are extremely red and bloodshot, and her eyes reveal bloodthirsty killing intent. "Tell me, I will give you everything I have in the Magic City." Shenhao, My Fiancée is a Villain Female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 82. Zhang Hanjian's voice was absolutely decisive. Zhang Cheng's news made her unable to remain calm as before. At this moment, she was more like a ferocious beast about to be released from the cage, choosing people to eat. "Zhang Cheng, tell me everything you know. Everything I have in the Magic City will be yours." Enthong's voice was hoarse, with a hint of longing in it. Zhang Cheng acted as if there was no one around, poured a cup of tea into his empty teacup, took another sip, and then said slowly, "Talk to me again when you calm down." At this moment, Lu Feng, who was sitting next to Zhang Cheng, was frightened. When the strong killing intent that suddenly broke out from Zhang Hanjian hit him, Lu Feng felt that if he dared to move, he would probably die in the next moment. He didn't even know why Zhang Cheng could always make the big guys lose their minds with just one sentence. "And Enthong has a daughter? But how did Zhang Cheng know? And looking at the situation, Enthong's daughter is not in very good condition." Lu Feng sadly found that he was speechless again. It was so difficult. His status was not low, so why could he be speechless? Why is that? After hearing Zhang Cheng's words, Enthong's eyes gradually became restrained, and it took a long time to calm down. After taking a deep breath, Zhang Hanjian said, "Why does Mr. Zhang know that I have a daughter? In this world, as long as I want to know, there is nothing I don't know, including your past. I also know. I still know the news you still want to know. But the premise is that you have to help me do my things well." Zhang Cheng said slowly. This time, Zhang Hanjian no longer felt that he was arrogant. Zhang Hanjian frowned slightly and asked doubtfully, "Did Mr. Zhang come to me just for this trivial matter? Don't you even want what I have in my hand?" She thought that when she said that she could give anything to Zhang Cheng would definitely open his mouth. But the result surprised Zhang Hanjian. Zhang Cheng didn't. And he still adheres to his previous conditions. "Your territory? I don't need it. I don't like these low-class things. I said, you are still very useful to me, so you keep it," Zhang Cheng said casually. Zhang Hanjian was startled, then nodded, and said, "This little thing can be done at any time." "Mr. Zhang, do you know the whereabouts of my daughter?" Zhang Cheng nodded. Zhang Hanjian's identity is actually very important. She left the Magic City when she was 20 years old, was taken away by a mysterious man, and was trained abroad as a killer. She is a member of the killer organization, and the man who took her away is the leader of the killer organization and is also her husband. There is no such thing as a killer, right? You have never seen one yourself. However, such people who receive bounties to assassinate others do exist. After being in love for a long time, Zhang Hanjian gradually developed a relationship with the leader of the killer organization, and the two also had a daughter. After the killer organization was encircled and suppressed, Zhang Hanjian took her 9-year-old daughter and escaped under the cover of the organization's members. After tossing and turning, she returned to the Dragon Kingdom and developed her own power in the Magic City. And her daughter gradually grew up under her protection, and was also trained by her to become a killer. After growing up, Zhang Hanjian's daughter Zhang Lai has been living in her shadow. Sometimes, as long as a man talks to Zhang Lai, Zhang Hanjian will kill him immediately. Over time, Zhang Lai became more and more disgusted with his mother's almost perverted protection. 2 years ago, Zhang Lai suddenly disappeared. From that day on, Zhang Hanjian's heart collapsed because her husband's life and death were unknown, and her daughter, whom she regarded as her spiritual sustenance, left her again. She began to regret it. She didn't dare to fall asleep every night, so she could only stay up until morning and let herself fall asleep under the natural attack of trapped thoughts. Zhang Hanjian has been frantically using all her connections to find Zhang Lai over the years, but she still found nothing after 2 years. Until today, Zhang Cheng told her, "Mr. Zhang, please tell me the whereabouts of my daughter." "I agree to all your requests," Zhang Hanjian said with a trembling voice. With hope right in front of her, Zhang Hanjian couldn't keep calm. No matter how she suppressed it, she still couldn't calm herself down, and her voice was always full of desire. Zhang Cheng smiled and said lightly, "Are you begging me now?" When Zhang Hanjian heard this, her plump and delicate body wrapped in cheongsam couldn't help but tremble. Then, regardless of Lu Feng's shock, her attitude became very low. "Please tell Master Zhang the whereabouts of my daughter." The underground queen of the all-powerful demon city lowered her noble figure to beg someone for the sake of her daughter. Zhang Cheng glanced at her and saw that he would not change his attitude toward Zhang Hanjian. "You can kill people for no reason, how can I treat you well? For these cruel and ruthless people, you can either hold on to her weak points or wait to be killed by her." "The attitude is pretty good," Zhang Cheng nodded and said calmly. Hearing this, Zhang Hanjian's eyes revealed an anxious look, and she asked cautiously, "Can young Master Zhang tell me what you want me to do? I will definitely help you do it without leakage. Even if you ask me to kill Song Yun's Hung, I can still do it." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Shenhao, My Fiancée is a Villain Female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 83. Assassinate Song Yun's Hung. As long as Zhang Chen nodded, Zhang Hanjian dared to run to the Song family villa and kill Song Yun's Hung. Lu Feng quickly lowered his head. Don't listen. This news is so exciting. Who is Ent Hong and why she dares to say such things? Zhang Chen met Zhang Hanjian's hopeful gaze and said with a casual smile, "I don't need this method yet. If you kill people, then where can I find villains worth their salt?" The reason why he has been arranging to make the Song family uncomfortable is just to squeeze out the value of the Song family bit by bit. If he killed the Song family all at once, wouldn't it be like playing an online game? Skip the process of leveling up and fighting monsters, and directly kill the final boss. There is no process at all. How do you get rewards? As for your daughter's whereabouts, it doesn't hurt to tell you now. Zhang Lai is now abroad. Well, according to the time, she is now a member of the Overseas Nightingale organization. When she sneaked out of the country, she immediately joined the Nightingale through the dark network. Now she seems to be one of the top elites killer. If you want to find her, go to the Malay Kingdom in Southeast Asia to find her. You'd better find her within half a year. Otherwise, in half a year, the Nightingale organization will also suffer the same disaster as the forces that destroyed your Jiaolang organization. It's the same one. Zhang Cheng thought for a moment, and then said slowly. Suddenly, with the thought, Zhang Cheng laughed again and said, "But if you don't have the connections to save Zhang Lai, I wouldn't mind helping you again." he suddenly remembered that Zhang Lai was rescued because the protagonist Ye Tian went to Southeast Asia and met Zhang Lai, a native of the Dragon Kingdom. They had a pleasant conversation and learned that the mercenary organization that assassinated him is now in the country of Marais. He rushed over in a rage, and with his strong physique, directly killed the people of the mercenary organization on the spot. Then he met Zhang Lai, who was shot and had difficulty escaping, so he rescued her. In the end, the Nightingale organization was wiped out. Zhang Lai followed Ye Tian back to the Magic City, and began the process of recognizing relatives. In the end, Zhang Hongjian became Ye Tian's fourth mother-in-law. Damn it! Zhang Cheng couldn't say much about these plots. After all, he had enjoyed watching them before. But when I became a character in the novel, I was not satisfied with the plot. After Zhang Hongjian heard this, her eyes changed slightly and she hesitated. Is what Mr. Zhang said true? Is my daughter really in Marais? It's not that she doesn't believe Zhang Cheng, but she is really surprised that her daughter actually became a killer. Zhang Cheng nodded. Do you think I can tell lies? That doesn't mean. I can also tell you a secret for free. Well, your husband is currently in the Dragon Kingdom. The specific location depends on your performance. Zhang Cheng took a sip of tea and smiled. When Zhang Hongjian heard this, her whole plump body trembled again, and her voice trembled. Is what Mr. Zhang said true? Zhang Chengdu was speechless. Could you please stop repeating the sentence? Of course, if you want to know, it depends on your performance, but your husband's condition is not particularly good, so you have to be mentally prepared. I'm mentally prepared. As long as he's still alive, that's enough. Zhang Hongjian's tears overflowed and she choked to herself. Zhang Cheng's ability to tell herself these things today was enough to nourish her heart, which had nearly collapsed over the years. Zhang Cheng glanced at the time, and then said, Okay, I just stopped by to tell you this. I think you will understand how you should arrange Wang Hu's affairs. Zhang Hongjian wiped her tears and nodded heavily. Don't worry, Mr. Zhang, I will complete all this. For a woman like her, nothing is more convincing than the fact that her husband and children are still there. Even if the chance of finding it is only 10%, she is willing to agree. Ding. Congratulations to the host for completing the plot change. 50% of the plot has passed and the villain value is at 1500. Ding. Congratulations to the host for completing the task, plundering the protagonist's chance connections add 1, and receiving rewards, villain gift pack *1, free attributes add 20. Tip: since the plot progress is 50% complete, the system reward rules have been adjusted. Next time you need to obtain a large reward, you will need to make major plot changes. The host, please pay attention to the adjustment. Zhang Cheng, who had just stood up, couldn't help but be stunned after seeing the two system prompts displayed in his mind. Now that the plot has passed 45%, the villain value rewards and some system rewards also need to make major changes before they can appear. In other words, you have to make more than 10% changes in the plot in the future to be able to obtain villain points and some rewards again. Under the stunned looks of the two people, Zhang Cheng sat back on the sofa and opened his system properties panel. System, Villain System. Host, Zhang Cheng. Wealth, 1,393,986,421.29 yuan. Villain value, 6,749 points. Backpack, Villain gift pack *1. Attribute points at your disposal, 40. Attributes: Constitution, 100. Strength, 110. Reactions, 110. Speed, 100. Charm, 149, max. Note: the standard for a normal adult male is 100, and the maximum charm value is 149, full. Skills: intermediate cooking skills, 4399/6000. Shooting, Entry 2100/4000. Fighting, Entry 3700/4000. English, Advanced Max. Piano, Master Max. Special Skills, Suit Thug. Medical Gods Medical Skill Level 88, plus. Looking at his attribute board, Zhang Cheng fell into deep thought. Unknowingly, did he actually have such a rich family fortune? Zhang Cheng thought for a moment, then increased all free attribute points by 10 points except for the highest charm, and then spent another 15 points to increase strength by 10 points and constitution by 5 points. Although he is still far away from Ye Tian's abnormal physical attributes, he still has a cheating skill. The Suit Thug's overall attributes have been increased by 50%, and he can have a 50-50 matchup with Ye Tian at any time. After exiting the system interface, Zhang Cheng looked at the strange looks in their eyes and smiled slightly. I suddenly remembered something, so I sat down and sorted it out first. Once I'm done, I can leave. Although Zhang Hongjian and Lu Feng were a little strange, they didn't say much. After all, Zhang Cheng was the boss now. Under the horrified look of the bodyguard squatting outside the private room door, Zhang Hongjian personally escorted Zhang Cheng out of the bar. For bodyguards like them who were trained by Zhang Hongjian, they know better what kind of ruthless person their boss is, but such a ruthless person actually sent a young man out so respectfully. This is undoubtedly a great spiritual impact for them. Seeing the horrified and confused looks of her subordinates, Zhang Hongjian's face returned to its previous coldness, and she said coldly, "From now on, young Master Jiang's words are my words." Yes. The neat sound echoed in the corridor, but Zhang Cheng seemed not to hear it and walked out of the bar calmly. Under the respectful eyes of everyone, he left. Shenhao, My Fiancée is a Villain Female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 84. Time soon came to early morning. When Zhang Cheng and Lu Feng left the bar, they found a place to fill their stomachs before returning to Suyao Villa. Outside the villa, Lu Feng glanced at the brightly lit Suyao Villa. Then he turned to Zhang Cheng and said enviously, "Brother Cheng, I will follow you from now on. Aunt Hong is subdued by you. That kid Qin Ming is also moving closer to you. Even that bastard Bai Fei is willing to choose you. Just even tonight, I'm afraid you will take down the president of Su University. Brother Cheng, please don't abandon me. I've been following you all this time." Facing his hungry eyes, Zhang Cheng showed a hint of disgust. "Stay away from me. Why don't I take you with me to do this unfinished project? Are you talking about such nonsense?" In fact, when he took him to work, Zhang Cheng did want to use him at first, but now as he develops faster and faster, Lu Feng's role is actually that. If it has a great effect, it can be said that it drives for yourself. Zhang Cheng also discovered a problem, that is, he seemed to like to take Lu Feng with him when doing important things. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but look at Lu Feng. "Well, it is indeed quite suitable to be your own driver." After getting out of the car, Lu Feng looked at Zhang Cheng's back and smiled evilly. "Brother Cheng, have a good time tonight, remember to be gentle, it will be very painful. Do you understand?" "Don't I know it will hurt," Zhang Cheng cursed with a smile, and then stepped into Su Yao's villa. Ha ha ha. After laughing, Lu Feng stepped on the accelerator and drove away. Zhang Cheng looked at the not too big villa in front of him with a smile in his eyes. After a few days, I, Zhang Cheng, am still back. The door of the villa was still open. Zhang Cheng stood outside the door and could still hear the sounds of TV movies and dramas coming from inside. Boom, boom, boom. 2 symbolic knocks. Wow, Su Yao, who was sitting on the sofa and watching TV absently, turned back instantly. Their eyes met, and the two seemed to be communicating with their eyes. 2 seconds later, Zhang Cheng was the first to speak. "Miss Su, are you waiting for me?" The corner of his mouth raised a slight arc, and a charming smile hung on his face. Looking at Zhang Cheng, who was over 1.8 meters tall and slender, Su Yao suddenly fell into a trance. Sword-like eyebrows, starry eyes, facial features without any flaws, sharp-edged features, and eyes as dark and bright as the starry sky. Wearing a black tuxedo, he always exudes a charm that women cannot resist. Very perfect. Like a banished immortal who fell into the mortal world. Thinking of this, a touch of pink appeared on Su Yao's pretty face and she quickly looked away. Humph, why are you narcissistic? I'm just waiting for you to drive away. Now that you're back, you can go. Su Yao turned her head away and snorted softly. Zhang Cheng smiled slightly and didn't pay attention to her words. A woman. They are all so duplicitous. After he walked into the hall, he slowly closed the door, walked to the sofa and sat down, just over 1 meter away from Su Yao. Looking at the papaya on the fruit plate on the coffee table and the 2 empty milk boxes, Zhang Cheng said with a half smile, "It seems that Miss Su likes to drink milk." Su Yao glared at him and said angrily, "It's none of your business. Just drive your car and leave my house." She just couldn't hear Zhang Cheng's teasing. Milk is not milk, papaya is not papaya. I'm not here to enlarge my breasts. In fact, she has a bit of it, but she doesn't have the size of some people. Zhang Cheng thought he could still afford it. Do you really want me to leave? Hey, I suddenly feel a little sad. I helped Miss Su so much, but Miss Su is not grateful to me, treats me to something to eat, and even rushes me away. Human, are feelings so fragile? Su Yao frowned slightly. Okay, what you said makes sense. Zhang Cheng did help him a lot tonight. If Zhang Cheng didn't help him tonight, the Su family would definitely be frantically besieged by the Song family after a while. When the power of the Song family increases, some wealthy and powerful forces that were neutral in the past will definitely join the Song family's camp one after another. At that time, the day when the Su family goes bankrupt will definitely not be too far away. The appearance of Zhang Cheng revealed that their miracle doctor's medical skills were not good enough, and also showed that he also knew how to heal. Some families in need will also consider whether the Song family or the Su family. Thinking of this, Su Yao was a little embarrassed, no longer acting like a villain and aloof female CEO, and said in a soft voice, "Then I'll treat you to a meal tomorrow." Zhang Cheng looked at her appearance and couldn't help but feel happy. There is no emotion. I don't want to eat. I want to eat you. Then what do you want? When Su Yao heard this, she was unhappy again. Suddenly, Zhang Cheng stood up, then walked around for a while, then returned to his seat and sat down again. The decoration is good and the standard is quite high. Zhang Cheng is quite satisfied with the classical style decoration. When Su Yao heard this, she suddenly looked proud. I designed this myself, of course it's high. But after being proud, Su Yao returned to a tangled state. So how do you want me to thank you? She wanted to give Zhang Cheng money, but she was discouraged when she thought that he had the money to pay back the previous 52 million. He should not be short of money. Zhang Cheng looked at her quietly. A standard perfect oval face, skin like cream, eyebrows arched like willow leaves, as beautiful as peach plums sinking into fish and falling geese. What attracts Zhang Cheng the most is Su Yao's lips, which are the right size and extremely rosy, making people unable to resist kissing them. Just look at her quietly. Su Yao felt a little upset when he saw her. She always felt that Zhang Cheng was thinking about some very unfriendly things. So, how do you want me to thank you? Well. However, before she could finish her words, her mouth was blocked by the sudden warmth. Su Yao's eyes keep enlarging. His hands kept resisting. However, Zhang Cheng remained motionless, not disturbed by her strength at all. A little intrusion. Gradually, Su Yao also gave up her movements. Let him ask for it. After 2 minutes, Zhang Cheng let her go, with a faint smile on his lips. Can you give me such a reward? No. However, Su Yao didn't even have time to say the last sentence. Zhang Cheng, who was so close, lifted his delicate chin with his well-jointed fingers, lowered his head and pecked it. Suddenly suffocated. Su Yao's eyes dilated slightly, her body stiffened for a moment, and she quickly responded to Zhang Cheng's intrusion. Feeling a pair of warm hands suddenly stretched out, Su Yao resisted subconsciously, but soon. Then, don't care. Ding. Villain value add 8,000. This is bound to be a sleepless night. Shenhao, my fiancée is a villain female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 85. An hour and a half later. Inside the room. Su Yao lies limply on the man's strong shoulders, the rosy color on her face has not faded, and she looks particularly attractive at the moment. She raised her head and looked at the sharp and handsome side face leaning against the head of the bed. The air was still filled with the smell of intense hormones. The man holding her had a smell that she liked very much. It was clean and refreshing, without losing the masculine taste. Her beautiful eyes, covered by a few strands of messy hair, were shining brightly at the moment, and Su Yao's heartbeat, which had finally calmed down, accelerated again. Recalling what happened to her these past few days, Su Yao's beautiful face revealed a hint of untruth. I have known Zhang Cheng since I was a child, but if I say I have officially known each other, I only started to know each other these days, or in other words, after he went bankrupt. However, in just a few days, I completely fell for this man. If you tell me this ridiculous experience, others may not choose to believe it. The aloof female CEO of the Su Group actually became intertwined with others so easily. So absurd, so unbelievable, and so wonderful. Again, cool. Thinking of this, Su Yao couldn't help laughing. The branches of laughter trembled wildly. The pair of A's who laughed were a little swollen. There is even a faint red hand mark clearly displayed on it. Ding. Villain value add 1000. Seeing the sound of the system prompt in his mind, Zhang Cheng looked at the beauty on his shoulder and found that she was smiling heartily at the moment. The body trembled slightly. The corners of Zhang Cheng's mouth raised slightly. Recalling the previous experience, Zhang Cheng felt a little sad. But this sadness quickly disappeared and he looked at Su Yao with a half smile. What are you laughing at? His left hand gently stroked Su Yao's messy hair. Su Yao enjoyed this feeling a little, rubbed her head gently against her big hand, and hummed softly, I'm laughing at myself, how could I be taken down by you so easily? Hard-spoken but soft-hearted? It's hard to say. She actually had a good impression of Zhang Cheng from the time he talked about her that night. In the back, Zhang Cheng remained distant and flirted with her from time to time. All these made Su Yao, a cold female CEO who had never experienced these things, gradually develop a good impression of him. Hearing this, Zhang Cheng smiled fondly and said, do you still remember what I told you some time ago? Su Yao frowned slightly and thought seriously about what Zhang Cheng said to herself. Then he shook his head, I don't remember, what did you say? Zhang Cheng came close to her ear and blew his warm breath into it, I told you, I'm determined to eat you. Suddenly, Su Yao's delicate face turned red instantly, and her delicate little face was so shy that she could almost water out of it. Shameless, Su Yao spat and whispered. I was so ashamed. These are all words of tiger and wolf. Really? Then I'll show you how shameless I am. Zhang Cheng shrugged, and then didn't wait for Su Yao to react. He turned over and pressed her down again. Another hour later. At 7:10 the next morning, a ray of sunlight penetrated the curtains and reflected on the bed. Su Yao's messy hair is spread on the soft pillow, wrapped in a silk quilt, and her white and delicate feet are exposed outside the quilt. The eyelashes moved slightly, and Su Yao gradually opened her eyes. Su Yao felt a little uncomfortable feeling her swollen waist and slight pain. Seeing Zhang Cheng who had already gotten up and put on his clothes, Su Yao wanted to kick him, but the tearing pain made her frown, but she still stretched out her foot and kicked Zhang Cheng, who was sitting at the end of the bed. She said softly, "I'm so thirsty, go get me a glass of water." The voice was waxy and coquettish. Zhang Cheng squeezed her little feet and said softly, "Well, I'll make you a breakfast and bring it to you. You can get up and take a shower later." Su Yao thought for a while, pursed her red and dry lips slightly, and said, "Okay." Watching her close her eyes again, a smile appeared on Zhang Cheng's face. Slowly walked out of the room and came to the kitchen. Finding the limited ingredients in the kitchen, Zhang Cheng chose to make egg noodles. Although his intermediate cooking skills could not produce any top-notch delicious food, it was definitely tastier than ordinary home-cooked noodles. 10 minutes later, Zhang Cheng put the noodles into a bowl, put a fried egg on it, garnished with chopped green onions, and then came to Su Yao's room with 2 bowls of noodles and milk. Although they said they couldn't eat in the room for fear of leaving a smell, why would they care about this? When he came to the room, there was a small table inside, and Zhang Cheng placed the plate on the table. Then he looked out the window, looking at Su Yao, who was sitting in front of the window, hooking up her long slender legs and looking at the river view outside the window. Zhang Cheng suddenly felt that his heart was hit hard by this scene. The years are quiet. The sun shines in from the window, and the figure bathed in the warm light has a perfect body wearing a thin nightgown. Her long hair was slightly moist and draped messily on her shoulders. That perfect profile face now had a faint smile of happiness. Hearing the noise, Su Yao turned around, looked at Zhang Cheng, who was stunned, and smiled. "I'm home. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment." Shenhao, My Fiancée is a Villain Female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 86. Buzz. When Zhang Cheng heard this, he was completely stunned. The scene in front of him really stunned him. At that moment, his heart suddenly shook as if something had hit him. Seeing that he didn't respond to her, Su Yao asked softly, "What's wrong with you?" Zhang Cheng put away his messy thoughts and said with a smile, "I've cooked a bowl of noodles, come and eat." Su Yao walked over and pulled a stool to sit down. He took out his chopsticks, stirred the steaming egg noodles, exhaled, and took a bite of the noodles. His eyes lit up and he praised, "It's delicious. I didn't expect you to cook." "Really? Then eat more." Zhang Cheng sat opposite her, holding his chin and looking at her quietly. Su Yao's eating appearance is very elegant, not the kind of deliberately pretending, but her habit. Looking at her like this, Zhang Chengdu felt like he was admiring her. This is really not a dog-licking idea. But this scene is really good. He had reached his peak before, but he had never been like this, being alone with his partner, making her a bowl of noodles after waking up, and watching her eat them bit by bit. Even, no object. Watching Su Yao eating noodles, Zhang Cheng came to the balcony of the room. The sky was clear and the sun was rising. The river water stirred in the breeze, and the sunlight reflected in Zhang Cheng's eyes. He took out his cigarettes, lit one, sat on the wicker chair, and looked ahead in a daze with deep eyes. A lot of time has passed since time travel. His mentality when he first entered the book was to play a game script knowing all the plot. In Zhang Cheng's view, this is just a systematically fabricated plot world. Everyone and everything here is fictitious. Including those people and various things that happen, they are all things that have been said. In this world, everyone except him is just a fiction. What he wants to do is to complete the plot world as quickly as possible, and then see what the system will do next. In his opinion, he is just an ordinary player playing the game. Therefore, he does not feel any guilt. No matter who he is tricking or designing a strategy for, he knows the hearts of all the characters and all their experiences. He has the ability to set complex traps to make them little by little. I fell into my own trap. As for the female protagonists he has contacted so far, Su Yao, Lin Qingjian, Su Qingying, and Zhou Wanqing, he is also designing them, including the choice to attack Su Yao last night. It was also because he guessed that the time was ripe, so he chose to take action. Just now, Su Yao's performance made him suddenly feel that he was really in the plot world. Do I really have to do whatever it takes to accomplish everything I do? But at this moment, he suddenly hesitated and hesitated. Do they really not exist? But why are they so real? If you really want to leave this world, are you really willing to leave? It would be nice if I didn't feel that this real scene can't be real, so I wouldn't hesitate, Zhang Chen murmured to himself. He would rather not have such real feelings. Now that all the arrangements have been laid, it only takes a little time to completely strip away the remaining 60% of Ye Tian's luck. But today's scene made Zhang Chen hesitate. Just then, Su Yao's voice came, "What are you doing outside?" Zhang Chen came back to his senses, looked into the room, and said softly, "I have a cigarette." Su Yao took out 2 paper towels, wiped the noodle soup on her lips, stood up and walked out. He came to the balcony and sat down on a hanging basket wicker chair, his long, slender legs as white as green swaying gently. Loose silk pajamas could not hide her figure. That beautiful face was filled with suspicion, "But your cigarettes have all been burned out." Zhang Chen was stunned when he heard this. Then he saw that the cigarette held between his fingers had burned out before he had even taken 2 puffs. The smell of the smoke had turned his fingers a little yellow. Zhang Chen threw the cigarette butt out of the window and laughed dumbly. "What's wrong with you? I feel like something is wrong with you from just now." Zhang Chen laughed a little. In a daze, Zhang Chen couldn't help but ask, "Let me ask you something." Su Yao lay in the hanging basket wicker chair, swaying slightly, closing her eyes and humming, "Huh? What's the matter?" Zhang Chen collected his emotions and said slowly, "I have a question. If a person becomes a passerby in the world, do you think the traces he leaves behind will be recorded? The things he has experienced and the people he has come into contact with will remember him and remember that such a person once came." He said everything he had been wanting to say deep down in his heart. He wanted to get an answer, even if the answer was so vague. Su Yao was stunned by his sudden question. Frowning, he said without hesitation, "If such a person really exists, then everything he has done and everything he has experienced will be recorded. Maybe it's a dream, but it's more like another world. He is a passerby in this world, but after he leaves, this world will not disappear. Everything he has done and everything he has come into contact with will remain with him. Footprints. But I think if the time is right, he will come back here." After listening to Su Yao's narration, Zhang Chen suddenly became cheerful. "Yes, I have experienced it, so why can't I come back again? As long as you leave your footprints, you will always have a way to come back here." Thinking of this, Zhang Chen suddenly laughed. Ding. Tip, the current plot is 55% complete, and the villain heroine Su Yao's strategy progress is 99%. Zhang Chen glanced at the casual Su Yao and suddenly stood up. Standing in front of Su Yao, Zhang Chen pulled her up from the wicker chair. "Then let me answer a question in your heart." Su Yao tilted her head, her eyes flashed with a different light, and asked curiously, "What's my problem?" Zhang Chen smiled slightly. "Perhaps others don't understand you, and they stay away from you, plot against you, and fear you because of your identity. You are afraid of losing, afraid that you are not good enough, and afraid of being alone. I know that when you are alone, you dare not turn off the light when you sleep. But, from now on, as long as you need me, I will always be where you can see me." Zhang Chen's voice was not gentle, he spoke very softly. But just such a gentle tone made Su Yao completely stunned. The eyes that were dodging around suddenly looked at the man in front of her. The slight guard in his eyes was completely shattered. Every word Zhang Cheng said echoed in his ears. That perfect oval face can drive men crazy even without any expression, and an extremely bright and joyful smile slowly blooms. Su Yao, who is 1.67 meters tall, raised her head, suddenly tapped the man's lips, and then slowly leaned on his chest. Feel the gradually accelerating heartbeat under the strong muscles. Those bright eyes gradually closed. A crystal teardrop slipped from the corner of his eye and landed on the man's chest. How do you know I'm lonely, and how do you know I turn on the light when I sleep? Her voice trembled, and she couldn't hide the joy in her tone. Why, you all know, why you always bring happiness. Why, it's nice to have you. Also, why does he know everything about himself so well? But, like I said before, it's great to have you. Zhang Cheng gently held the beauty in his arms, patted her back, and said softly, because I know everything about you. Every woman has her Achilles heel. What they long for is someone who can understand her. Ding. Congratulations to the host for successfully defeating the villain heroine Su Yao, loyal and loyal. Villain value add 9,999. After a long time, Su Yao broke out of his arms. This time, her eyes were extremely clear, and the deep love in her eyes was undisguised. Honey, I'm going to the company. Zhang Cheng smiled, don't worry, let's do a digestion exercise first. However, this time Zhang Cheng didn't take the initiative, but Su Yao pushed him into the room, closed the curtains, and heard a faint voice. Then let's go after eating. Shenhao, my fiancée is a villain female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 87. Zhang Cheng hugged Su Yao and performed another digestion exercise. The time quietly came to 9 o'clock in the morning. The big bed was a mess, leaving scattered silk quilts and pajamas on the floor. After the two of them took a bath in the bathroom for half an hour, Zhang Cheng hugged Su Yao and walked out energetically. After everyone got dressed, Zhang Cheng looked at his scratched white shirt and couldn't help but smile. You are quite strong. Su Yao found out a set of professional clothes from somewhere and put them on. She sat in front of the dressing table and put on light makeup. If you don't work so hard, will I tear your clothes? How are you going to explain the situation to my grandfather? Hearing Su Yao ask himself, Zhang Cheng smiled indifferently. It doesn't matter, your grandpa won't have any objections. He doesn't care about anyone's attitude now. For people like Shenhao, as long as you suppress him with absolute strength, he will surrender. I won't fight with myself to the end. When he masters the wealthy circles of the Magic City, or has the ability to absolutely crush him, his attitude will naturally change. In wealthy circles, even in this era, they still implement a system secretly. They don't think it's bad to marry too many people. Just like Shenhao, he has 5 or 6 wives, one is registered in the main palace, and the rest are all nameless and statusless, but they can live with him. After putting on makeup, Su Yao nodded lightly, yes. But then she changed the topic, with a hint of scrutiny, but, at a cocktail party that day, you claimed to be the boyfriend of a college belle. What happened? Huh? Why don't you explain it to me? Zhang Cheng gently hugged her slender waist and said in a warm voice, the plot requires it, but if you don't want me to get involved with women, I can turn it down. At least now, Su Yao is the only woman who can let him talk something. Because Su Yao's strategy has been completed, and with the blessing of the title of loyalty, as long as Zhang Cheng doesn't want others to know, Su Yao will not reveal the secret until her death. Moreover, there is no need to hide many things in front of her. Acting alone for a long time will be very tiring. Sometimes, I always want to find someone to express my inner feelings to. And he chose Su Yao. Actually, you don't have to do this for me, just do what you did before. I just want you to be able to think of me when you are tired and talk to me about what is on your mind. Su Yao frowned slightly and comforted Zhang Cheng with gentle words. For her, as long as Zhang Cheng doesn't abandon herself, that's enough. Zhang Cheng kissed the side of her face and said softly, "But I'm afraid I'll wrong you." Su Yao chuckled, slapped his thigh with her little hand, and said angrily, "If you are afraid of wronging me, then why did you torment me so much last night and just now? I wonder if this is my first time." Zhang Cheng laughed, who would restrain themselves when they indulge. "I feel so painful now." Su Yao noticed the faint pain and frowned. Zhang Cheng smiled, "Then don't go to work today." "No, the company still has some things for me to deal with, and I can't be absent." Su Yao shook her head slowly. What happened in the company during this period always gave her a headache. It's as if everything starts to go wrong. Zhang Cheng was thoughtful, and then said, "Well, if there is anything you think is weird, please call me and I will handle it." Su Yao nodded obediently. Then he turned around in Zhang Cheng's arms, hooked his neck with his hands, stood on tiptoes and kissed him. After lingering for 3 or 4 minutes, the two reluctantly let go of each other. "Okay, bad guy, I'm going to work." Su Yao picked up the bag and waved to Zhang Cheng. "You do what you should do first, and then think about me. Don't delay anything for me." Watching her back leave the room, Zhang Cheng suddenly became a little sad. What to do? He shook his head and threw away the messy thoughts. Then he opened the system and looked at the personal properties panel. System, Villain System. Host, Zhang Cheng. Wealth, 1,393,986,421.29 yuan. Villain value, 25,136 points. Backpack, Villain Gift Pack *1. Disposable attribute points, 0. Attributes, Constitution, 115. Strength, 120. Reactions, 120. Speed, 110. Charisma, 149. Note, the standard for a normal adult male is 100, and the maximum charm value is 149, full. Skills, Intermediate Cooking, 4399/6000, Shooting, Entry 2100/4000, Fighting, Entry 3700/4000, English, Advanced Max, Piano, Master Max. Special Skills, Suit Thug, Medical God, and Medical Skills level 88, plus. Looking at his attributes page, Zhang Cheng opened the villain gift bag without hesitation, since it would be useless to keep it anyway. Ding! The villain gift pack was opened successfully. Congratulations to the host for obtaining Black Technology, Graphene Full Battery Technology 1, Holographic Projection Technology 1. Zhang Cheng? Seeing this scene, Zhang Cheng was stunned. Why did the villain gift package this time give out these two things about technology? He didn't remember these two things appearing in this book. Moreover, looking at this thing, do you still want to develop yourself into a technology company? Will who takes off? Thinking of this, Zhang Cheng was a little excited again. Because his current strategic direction is still to develop unfinished projects as the first strategy, and then gradually enter the pharmaceutical industry to seize the market of the protagonist Ye Tian. But now it seems that I have another way to make money quickly. What is the most profitable these days? Of course, those who play with technology make the most money. Whenever an epoch-making technology emerges, its market value will be astronomical. After being excited for a moment, Zhang Cheng quickly calmed down and frowned. Why are there rewards for technology? In the book I have read, there is no development in this area at all. After Ye Tian and Song Yiwei bankrupted the Su family, they and Su Yao were imprisoned. The two of them gradually cannibalized the Su family and gradually moved towards international enterprises. Develop. But one is involved in real estate, and the other Ye Tian is involved in medicine, which has nothing to do with technology. However, just as Zhang Cheng was racking his brains to figure out the connection, The silent system in his mind suddenly vibrated. A cold and mechanical voice sounded in his mind. Ding. It is detected that 60% of the plot has passed. Host, Zhang Cheng. The villain value exceeds the 20,000 threshold. The system assistant is activated. Ding. Hello host, I am the villain system assistant. How can I help you? Shenhao, my fiancée is a villain female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 88. Zhang Cheng. This system that has been dormant for so long actually has an intelligent assistant? If I had known earlier, I would have saved up my luck points and woke it up first. System assistant? What's the use? Zhang Cheng asked, frowning. Resolve all questions about the system for the host, and urge the host to complete the main plot tasks of the system as soon as possible. Please get the villain value to activate more functions later. After listening to the system assistant's introduction, Zhang Cheng was speechless and choked up. Your function in relationships is to be a chatterbox? And then urge me to complete the task? Then what use do I need your smart speaker for? Does it mean that I can only communicate with you when my consciousness enters my mind every time? Zhang Cheng asked again doubtfully. In this case, this system assistant is too useless. The system has a manifestation function, which simulates an image appearing in front of the host. The host is asked to choose a system template. Then, a virtual panel appeared on Zhang Cheng's retina. It's quite high-tech. On a virtual box, various image data are displayed, and there is even a search box. Zhang Cheng was delighted. This system kept pace with the times and even had a search box. After thinking for a while, Zhang Cheng was a little confused as to what kind of animal he should choose to raise so that it wouldn't get in the way. Suddenly, an idea struck Zhang Cheng and he directly searched for squirrels on the screen. In terms of species, he chose the three-color squirrel, but he set some data for this animal template before nodding with satisfaction. Nickname, Xiaojigzu. This was when he suddenly remembered the squirrel with a weird accent in a novel he had read before, The Poisonous Demon King. Model OK, generated successfully. Soon, a three-colored squirrel suddenly appeared on the bed, standing upright, with a digitalized light flashing in its eyes. Squeak, hello host. Zhang Cheng looked at his masterpiece and nodded with satisfaction, then picked up Xiaojigzu and looked at it for a while before putting it down. Okay, Xiaojigzu, let me ask you something. Xiaoji promised, host, please tell me. The world I am in now, if I complete the task of depriving Yetian son of luck of all the luck, will I leave? Zhang Cheng asked his question. He wanted to know the answer. Soon, Xiaojigzu, the incarnation of the system, answered truthfully, no, but there will be new plot missions along the new main line, including the Son of Luck. Until the host completes the system mission, the urban Son of Luck will end. When Zhang Cheng heard this, his eyes flashed, and then he grabbed the key point and asked, you mean, I will not leave this plot world just because I have completed this task? But the Son of Destiny will continue to appear until all the things that the city should experience are gone. I'll have to go through it all again, right? Yes. Then after I complete these tasks, will I return to the original world? Meeting. After a long silence, Zhang Cheng slowly asked the last question, then the people I know in this world, will they disappear? Yes and no. Hearing its answer, Zhang Cheng was obviously stunned. He didn't understand what Xiaojigzu meant. After completing all the main plots, it will be decided by the host whether this world will be reset or not. If the host needs it, it will be retained. Otherwise, everything will be reset. Zhang Cheng lit a cigarette and took a deep drag. His eyes gradually solidified. If this is the case, then there is no need to restrain anything. He was worried before that if Yetian lost the title of Son of Destiny after he pulled up all the nets, he would go to other worlds after the mission was completed. At this moment, All the worries in his heart were gone, so he no longer needed to restrain his speed. Anyway, without Yetian, the next Son of Destiny will come out, endlessly plundering the Son of Destiny's opportunity, luck, etc. It's really just pushing yourself further and further towards becoming a villain. Zhang Cheng laughed and shook his head. Then he turned to look at Xiao Jigzu and continued to ask, then the reward I gave out when I opened the villain gift pack earlier was because I was about to change the Son of Destiny, so you gave me a warm-up for the new crisis in advance, right? Xiao Jigzu nodded his mouse head and opened his mouth slightly, yes, host. When the plot progress of the Beauty CEO's almighty medical god reaches 60%, the world will begin to arrange for the next child of luck to appear. The plot of the next book, The Most Powerful Son-in-Law, has been determined. Zhang Chen was stunned again when he heard this. Why is he a son-in-law again? But he also knew about this book, and there was a time when he was also obsessed with the book about son-in-law. This book tells the story of the protagonist who is the heir to a wealthy family, but he works as a son-in-law incognito and is looked down upon by the family. However, the wealthy family has only him as an only son, so his father came here. If you can persist for 3 years, I will allow you to take her home. Well, the 3-year period has come, young master. Your bank account has been unfrozen. Tens of billions of pocket money has arrived. Zhang Cheng was a little dumbfounded, but he didn't expect that this could be put on the line. After learning the identity of the next Son of Destiny, Zhang Cheng felt relieved. This kind of licking dog is easier to deal with. And I have long been dissatisfied with these embarrassing things for men. Host, please arrange the plot progress reasonably and pass the script as soon as possible. Xiao Jigzu jumped in front of Zhang Cheng and looked at him with those cute eyes and said. Zhang Cheng came back to his senses and smiled at Xiao Jigzu, don't worry, everything is under control. Let's go back to Jiang's compound first. With that said, Zhang Cheng left this room that he would never forget. Thinking back on what happened last night and this morning, Zhang Cheng raised the corners of his mouth slightly and hummed happily. He came to the garage, drove his Aston Martin, and quickly left Suyeo Villa. Song Qing has been jumping around for too long. Let's send you in during this time. Zhang Cheng figured out his arrangement clearly, and then decided to kill Song Qing first. He had been jumping around for a long time. After returning to his villa, for 3 whole days, Zhang Chengdu didn't go out again. Chat with Su Yao every day, and maintain a good relationship with the fry in the fish pond. On the morning of the 3rd day, a major event shocked the entire upper-class society in Shanghai. The University Town Project and New District Business District Center project was suddenly launched. Moreover, the location selection cleverly included the unfinished project that Lu Feng had failed to invest in back then and had been ridiculed by people in the industry for a long time. There are even hints that this backward area will be concentrated on finance for 2 years to build a new district. In the core planning area of this backward old district, in addition to Wulong, who also occupies a part of the area, the underground Queen Zhanghanjian also occupies a small part. Someone has carefully calculated that if someone takes over all the sites of Lufeng, Wulong, and Zhanghanjian, then under the impact of this new business development, these places will be enough to create a fortune of hundreds of billions. On the 4th day, there was no movement in the courtyard of Jiang's villa. Zhang Cheng smiled and stood up. It's time for the puppet president to take over, and it's time for the show to begin. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Shenhao, my fiancée is a villain female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 89. After the plan for the University Town and New Business District project was suddenly announced, everyone's first reaction was to be stunned, but they soon came to their senses and began frantically searching for these sites. As long as there are companies involved in real estate projects, or some companies with strong financial resources, they are looking for the most suitable locations in the planning documents for investigation and acquisition. A new business district and university town will be built, and the university town is expected to attract 14 universities and colleges to settle in. New school districts, commercial streets, and other models, as well as office buildings, are being built near the business district to attract companies and facilitate student internships. Achieve mutual benefit for both parties. For ordinary people, this news just means that someone is going to become a multimillionaire because of the demolition. After that, it is actually like that. But for the wealthy circle, this completely disrupted the business atmosphere that had finally calmed down in the Magic City again. In this sudden new project, at least several tens of billions of companies and 100 billions of companies will be born. The premise is that someone can seize the opportunity in advance. When this news started to trigger heated discussions, it was in the Song family villa. Ye Tian looked at the news on his phone, with a trace of hatred on his face. When he heard the news earlier, he thought of spending 6 to 7 billion to take over the most valuable unfinished project from Lu Feng. Later, due to some things, he didn't have time to go. After the cocktail party, he wanted to go to the Song family to borrow 500 million, and promised to pay it back in 10 days. But the Song family actually didn't lend it to him. Are you saying that you don't have that much cash flow anymore? Ye Tian's right hand holding the phone suddenly exerted force, and cracks appeared from the side of the screen. Damn Zhang Cheng, if you hadn't pointed out my medical mistakes, I wouldn't have been in such a mess. The Song family is equally hateful. Now they actually treat me as a tool, Ye Tian said angrily to himself. Whenever he thought of the series of things that happened that night, his heart couldn't help but twitch. Hateful. Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door of Ye Tianfang, and then Song Qing's voice came, "Brother Ye, today we go to Jiang's house to take a look at Zhang Zhenhong's rheumatism leg." Suddenly, Ye Tian's hand holding the phone suddenly exerted force, and the phone was crushed by him. Damn it! You really treat me like a tool, don't you? Okay, see a doctor, and when I have enough connections, I can't kill you. Ye Tian secretly felt cruel, and quickly changed his face. Okay, I'll be here right away. After saying that, Ye Tian put on his clothes and left the room. Song Yun's hung in the hall left the villa with a faint smile, got into Song Qing's car, and left here. At 6:30 in the afternoon, it was gradually approaching the autumn period in the Magic City, and the sun had already set. Only the dim yellow light remains on the earth. A high-end private dining restaurant in Shanghai welcomes guests, inside a large luxurious box. The price of this private restaurant is extremely expensive, making it the best choice for a business dinner. All the ingredients are the freshest that day. If you eat in the lobby, you can just order 4 dishes and 1 soup, and the cheapest one costs tens of thousands. Not to mention in the super luxurious private room. The minimum consumption is 200,000 plus. There were several people sitting in the box at this moment. Lu Feng, Wu Long, Zhang Hongjian, and Zhou Hao. Time passed gradually, and suddenly, the door of the box was pushed open, and a figure walked in from the outside. Seeing this figure, the 4 of them stood up immediately. Young Master Zhang, Brother Cheng. There was a squirrel sitting on Zhang Cheng's shoulder. Several people looked at it and felt a little strange, but they didn't ask any more questions. Sit down, don't act like a gangster. Zhang Cheng waved his hand and said with a smile. Several people sat down in response. I think everyone knows about the new project announced yesterday, right? After sitting down, Zhang Cheng went directly to the topic, crossed his hands in front of the table, glanced at a few people, and asked softly. Several people nodded, and Lu Feng was the first to stand up and said with great excitement, Brother Cheng, what should we do now? We all hold such a large piece of land in our hands, and together we can create a demon. They are all the most valuable companies. Now that the unfinished project in his hands suddenly became a piece of cake that everyone was jealous of, Lu Feng was so excited that he didn't sleep much all night. After finally surviving today, Zhang Cheng finally called him over, but he was so excited. Zhang Cheng smiled slightly, and then said, "Let's take this slowly. First, let's integrate the resources in everyone's hands and redistribute equity." He called a few people over this time in order to centralize the land property rights in the new business district of the Magic City in everyone's hands. When it came to business, several people became serious, including underground Queen Zhang Hanjian. "I think everyone here has received invitations and transaction requests from major wealthy families in the Magic City in the past 2 days, right?" The three of them nodded. As for Zhou Hao, he was just here to get acquainted with the size of the company he wanted to control. "Young Master Zhang, I have a piece of land in my hand. I originally bought it and wanted to build 3 clubs, but later it was shelved because of things. It cost 100 million at the time, but now they have spent 300 million to buy it." When talking about this, Wu Long's face looked proud. This should be regarded as the most successful investment in his life, with a huge profit of 30 times. After Wu Long finished speaking, Zhang Hanjian, who was still wearing a red cheongsam today, also smiled and said, "I am similar to Wu Long. I spent 200 million on my place. The place is about the same size as his, but closer to the core area." Zhang Hanjian has no concept of money. The reason why she became the underground queen of the Demon City is entirely because after she returned to China, she had no academic qualifications, no skills, and only the means to manage a killer organization. So she started a business of robbing gray industries. She originally just wanted to make some money, but who knew that the more she played, the bigger she got. Lu Feng chuckled, "Brother Chen, don't look at me. My old man has called me all day long and I haven't even answered the phone, let alone those wealthy families. They are almost annoying me to death." Several people burst into laughter. In fact, among the three of them, what those wealthy families wanted most was the territory in Lu Feng's hands. After several people finished talking about the situation in the past 2 days, Zhang Cheng smiled and said, "Well, we almost understand the situation. Wu Long's property rights were transferred to my name, the same was true for Zhang Hanjian's, and Lu Feng's was transferred to my name. I collected it before. After centralization, the equity distribution is very simple. I will exclusively own 75%, Lu Feng will exclusively own 14%, you two will each own 5%, and the remaining 1% belongs to Zhou Hao." The two of them had no objections to Zhang Cheng's arrangements. For Zhang Hanjian and Wu Long, these management headaches were severe. If they have a choice, they are willing to sell it. Now that they can distribute several billions in a company worth hundreds of billions and get a dividend every year, they naturally have no objection. Even for Wu Long, he wanted to give these to Zhang Cheng, just because he would help him avenge himself. Seeing that none of them objected to his arrangement, Zhang Cheng smiled slightly. Showing rows of neat and white teeth, he smiled brightly and said, "Then let me lead you to stir up the entire demonic city. Dominate the Magic City and start by annexing the Song family within a month." Shenhao, My Fiancée is a Villain Female CEO. Author, Floating Like Sand. Chapter 90. Hearing this, even those of them who had seen strong winds and waves couldn't help but tremble. Disrupting the upper-class society in the Demon City is not as simple as disrupting an underground force. Among them, except for Zhou Hao and Zhang Cheng, all of them could not get rich without the underground forces. They are different from normal businessmen in that they grabbed the territory in a fight. No one knows how many people died in the process. Under the general trend, the eliminated people completely disappeared. Only a very small number of people can stand out and sit in the gray industry of the Magic City. For example, if Wu Long hands over his gray industry to a wealthy family with more money than him, they will have various problems within 3 days. Even within a month, it is not impossible for the gray industry to go bankrupt. Because no one is taking care of the relationship. Your peers are from underworld backgrounds, so it's not easy for them to do anything to you. So no matter where you are, the only people who can develop an industry like this are those who have strong means. But they also have a problem, that is, they can't get on the stage. No matter how big their industry can be, they will still not be able to enter the circle of wealthy families in the end, and they will always be able to live as local emperors hiding underground. Their existence cannot shake a normal wealthy family at all. Young Master Zhang, are you in charge of managing this group? Wu Long couldn't help but ask while excited. The corners of Zhang Cheng's mouth rose. No, let him manage it for me. He pointed at Zhou Hao. Suddenly, Zhang Hanjian and Wu Long were confused. Isn't it Mr. Jiang's management company? But a young man I have never seen before? Master Zhang, who is this? Wu Long couldn't help but frown and asked. Zhang Cheng did not reply to him, but looked at Zhou Hao. Immediately, Zhou Hao understood, stood up, and said with a smile, Mr. Wu, Mr. Zhang, my surname is Zhou, and my name is Zhou Hao. I am the acting president of the group hired by Mr. Zhang. Although Zhou Hao was a little nervous at the beginning, he quickly overcame this problem and calmly greeted Wu Long and Zhang Hanjian. Seeing this, the two of them were very confused. They didn't understand Zhang Cheng's operation. Why not be the president of this upcoming supergiant yourself, but choose to let an unknown person do it? Looking at the doubtful looks of the two people, Zhang Cheng explained with a smile, don't worry, Zhou Hao won't let you down. Zhang Cheng was still very relieved about Zhou Hao. After all, in the original work, Zhou Hao was a talent discovered by Ye Tian. Helping him manage the company, in just a few years, Zhou Hao made this new business district project bigger and bigger, and finally went out into the world and became an all-round world-class enterprise. Seeing Zhang Cheng speaking for Zhou Hao, several people had no doubts. Anyway, they only lost so much. However, even if it loses money again, it will never go bankrupt due to its location in the core business center. After all the dishes were served, several people ate them with great interest. During the meal, Lu Feng suddenly said, by the way, Brother Cheng, last night, all the well-known developers in Modu sent me invitations. They seem to want to participate in our project development. Wu Long and Zhang Hanjian looked at each other and smiled at the same time. We have all received these invitations, but we did not pay attention to them. After all, Zhang Cheng has been chosen, so before they do anything big, they must first obtain Zhang Cheng's consent. Zhang Cheng put down his bowl and chopsticks and smiled slightly. Since we are ready to develop, how can we live alone? We must give out some benefits to maintain interpersonal relationships. Then, Zhang Cheng asked Zhou Hao, who was eating on the side, how is the construction company I asked your father-in-law to establish? He had not forgotten to gain profits from this aspect of the layout before. After all, with such a huge amount of work, no matter what, the developers could not be fully exploited. Zhou Hao heard the words and immediately replied truthfully, back to Mr. Zhang, my father-in-law's company has been established, including some material channels, which are all connected with the local area, but because the Huang family is causing trouble in it, it is not too big. Scale. Zhou Hao still felt a little regretful about this. Zhang Cheng said lightly, as long as it can be established, as for the Huang family, if you can't swallow him this time, it will be a waste. Zhang Cheng is not polite now because he has given Zhou Hao too many resources. The background, funds, connections, and company are all given to you. If you can't swallow up the small Huang family even with this, then it would be too much of a waste. When Zhou Hao heard this, he immediately said seriously, don't worry, young Master Zhang, we will not disappoint your expectations. Wrong. It's not to live up to my expectations, but to let you prove your strength. If you say this is what I expect from you, Then you are totally wrong. Zhang Chen glanced at him and said lightly. Zhou Hao wiped his cold sweat and said, yes. After he finished speaking, Lu Feng smiled and said, are you talking about the Huang family in Huangwangzhou? Their size is quite good, and they invited us this time. Brother Chen, why not take advantage of this opportunity? Tomorrow we will announce the establishment of the company, and among these developers, let them come with their own plans, and we will then select some suitable companies for cooperation. Zhang Chen nodded and agreed to Lu Feng's suggestion, okay. He actually planned to do this because the area they wanted to develop was too huge. Without the cooperation of several strong developers, it would be impossible to complete the renovation. After the dinner, everything was finalized. Everyone dispersed. That night, Lu Feng directly announced that he would invite developers from Magic City at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning to select some strong developer companies for cooperation at the Magic City International Hotel. This news caused a commotion in the construction industry in Shanghai. Companies with good strength have asked their employees to work overtime and come up with a plan. Compared with their noisy atmosphere, Zhang Cheng's life was extremely comfortable. After leaving the private kitchen restaurant, he returned to Su Yao's villa and lingered with Su Yao all night. Until 8 o'clock the next morning. A call from Lu Feng woke him up.